And we are back. I fucking hated it.
We are.
So you guys complain first, and then because I know you guys hated it too. So
I didn't hate it. I just
hate's a strong word.
Hate's a really strong word for that. I mean, it's much better than the last one.
Oh yeah, definitely better than Dark World.
Yeah, I mean but I went, and then once again a lot of it was spoiled for me because we waited too long to go see it. We're 3 days after the premiere, and everybody's advertised that it's like the #1 comedy of all. Well, okay, it was funny in bits, and it was definitely had more. Humor was something that they should have had from the get go. That would have saved Dark World a lot.
No, they should have called it Avic and Stello does Ragnarok, not Thor Ragnarok.
They tried a little bit too hard on some of the gags, and I think they started. It felt like they started filming, and then they had to go back and re-edit and add comedy, and then they realized they wanted it to be a comedy, but they didn't have it. It wasn't like a Guardians of the Galaxy flat out. Just every moment is going to be something funny. They still had a story to tell, and
I think that's the problem. Is they tried to make it too much like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
they crammed way too many jokes.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is sexy as hell, though. Oh my god, he is.
Now we got to see a nice shot of Hulk's big green butt, and that was pretty sexy too.
With his new haircut, he's good looking, man.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't like the hippies.
Why can't Marvel do anything with villains? I felt like it was like a comedy, and they're like, oh, we gotta have a bad guy. Hela was useless. Surtur was cool looking but useless.
I didn't like the Scourge was on the fence the whole time. I mean, we knew exactly where that plot line was going. The whole move from the minute it's it's like, okay, well, we know exactly what's going to happen with this character at the end of the movie.
I'll give you that. Scourge was way too predictable.
Oh my!
And nothing like the comics. I mean, in the comics, he was much more revel in darkness.
Yeah, there was no real shining moment there when Scourge, decided that he was, going to choose one side. We always knew where his loyalties lied, and he was just Weasley trying to survive. And I'm like, okay, great.
First of all, there was no darkness in it at all. Hela, the Queen of the Dead, was
they
cracking jokes. What's his face? He was cracking jokes as well. What's his name? The demon, fire.
Surtur?
Surtur, yeah, he was making jokes.
He didn't make any jokes, really.
Oh yeah, he did.
I mean, he cracked maybe.
Well,
he set up Thor for a couple jokes.
Yeah, he was the setup man. He was the foil for those opening gags, and
that opening gag. That set me off so much. I mean, don't get me wrong. That is very funny. That is hilarious, but that does not need to be.
Okay,
the first chain spin.
The first chain spin, yeah, it was funny the first time. It did not come back around.
Yeah, the second one it fell, but the first one was fantastic. That was a perfect gag.
The best part of that movie is the best part.
Credits.
The Justice League trailer at the beginning of
Oh,
it.
the same pathetic Justice League trailer that we've all seen 100 times now, with that abortion of a version of David Bowie's Heroes played over it. Yeah, David Bowie's Heroes does not need to be remade. I think the Godzilla movie would have taught you that. The Godzilla movie from 2 decades ago when they remade it.
Speaking of music, I did like the use of Immigrant Song.
Now,
Absolutely, that was amazing.
Yeah, I like
oh my god,
action sequences with
the penultimate battle scene felt like a fucking MTV video from 20 years ago.
The whole movie felt like an MTV video.
That was just like, okay, we're gonna throw a music video battle scene in the middle. I mean, it was great. Okay, the Immigrant Song was great the first time they used it, but bringing it back and doing that whole battle sequence was horrid.
I disagree. That was a beautiful use of the song. I thought it was fantastic because they didn't go in there with like all this doom and gloom because they've done that earlier. They went in there with this is the last stand, this is the last hurrah, and you needed something to amp you up. That Immigrant Song was perfect.
God, I hope that is not. I hope that's not the general opinion because that'll show up as Thor's theme from now on. Every time as soon as he comes out of nowhere in the Infinity War, it's going to be the Immigrant Song. Here,
that Thor also
flashback music video.
I wish they would have done Raiden that way in the Mortal Kombat movies, the way they did Thor in this movie.
The effects on him were really awesome.
Oh my god, that was pretty cool. They even kind of did Raiden's little spin move towards. That was kind of cool. I was watching a Mortal Kombat movie to wash my palate out of this crap.
No, one thing I think I was pretty interesting. Now, I did not care for Cate Blanchett as Hela.
She looked amazing.
She looked the part, but she did not sound the part. She sounded way too motherly and matronly in a lot of places, in my opinion. But the one thing I did like is that about halfway through the movie, I'm like, how is she the goddess of death? She's not doing anything with death. She's not sucking souls out of people. She had that one scene where she resurrected the dead. And I realized that she's the goddess of death, and she is creating instruments of death. And that is kind of her whole thing. So I kind of liked, I don't know if that was intentional, but like she's making swords, making weapons. So she's like creating instruments of death through the entire thing. And that's her kind of her purview of her godly domain. And I really like that. I thought that was kind of a unique take on the goddess of death.
I think, from that, one of the that should have been more hardcore. I think this is the first time in a Marvel movie that we've directly seen the influence of Disney Studios on a Marvel film. This whole thing feels like something they could show on the Disney Channel and not have to overtly edit. Because it wasn't that dark. The comedy wasn't that off color. Apart from the Hulk's green butt. I mean, in which they can they'll just put a blank over that.
Did we watch the same movie? Because we've got the Dead Rising. We've got Asgardians.
But that's
but in the realm of the Walking Dead, I mean, that's.
But that's no difference than that one section of Fantasia. I mean, Surtur even looks like the dude from Fantasia.
And there you go. See,
and Fantasia would never get made under Disney today.
But it'll still be shown on the Disney Channel now. It's G enough that they'll show it.
I don't know. There's they cut the whole Greek pantheon scene out of Fantasia. With the satyrs drinking wine, they cut that out when they reshowed that. So, I don't know. I don't know.
I think the dead walking. Everybody's used to the dead walking now. I mean, it's zombies. Zombies show up on sitcoms. I mean, it's like, oh no, we've accidentally raised Bobby from the dead to tell us what to do.
So overall, do we recommend it? No, no.
I thought we were doing scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10. I give it. You know what? I overshot. I said 4.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 2.
Really?
I felt
wow. That's pretty harsh.
2 out of 10, man.
Okay.
I feel like it was completely. I was talking to Daniel. I felt like it was completely disrespectful to comic book fans.
Well, they added. They I don't know. They had a lot of storylines going. They basically, took Planet Hulk down to 3 minutes and threw that in. The Contest of Champions, which they did, they did sort of, that was, they've pretty much thrown all these storylines out the window in the MCU now. They can't do Planet Hulk now because it's been done. They can't do Contest of Champions, it's been done.
But they can't really do a solo Hulk movie though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a rights issue with that. They can't do a single solo Hulk movie anymore.
Plus no Beta Ray Bill.
And then once again, that storyline is now out because they showed him. I mean, it's they've taken a lot of major story arcs and plugged them in briefly into this movie, and now they're gone. I mean, as far as this
drove into a dead end.
I'm wondering where.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't, guys. We got to turn here, guys. We're good. No, I'm not going to say it because it's kind of a spoiler, but there's one scene in particular that Daniel claims is a retcon. I think it's a big middle finger to comic book fans, but Daniel's okay with it. But
I am. I mean, are we supposed to be like a spoiler-free review, or that?
Yeah, spoiler. Oh, here's a dead end.
How can we do a spoiler? If we were going opening night, I could see doing and it was going up immediately. I could see doing a spoiler-free review, but I mean.
Okay, so yeah, there's a scene. Hela walks through the vault. And they've got an infinity gauntlet with all the stones, and she pushes it over. This is fake, and continues on trashing all of Odin's stuff.
Trash is a Tesseract.
Trash is on the Tesseract. Well, she says it's not bad. That's the one that she gives a nod to.
What was the first one then?
There was something else there. It was the. Oh hell, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't the Tesseract, because that's the same thing that Loki stops and gives a double look at, and that's how it leads to
I think we know that Loki has he's got that with him.
Yeah. That's how they saved the Tesseract from destruction.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing is that they showed the Infinity Gauntlet in Thor 1 before Infinity War was even a dream in the producer's eyes, and they had to explain why that was there, and how it's not, and how they have to explain it. And that's how they explain it, is that this is not the real Infinity Gauntlet. And it makes sense why Odin would have something like that, because the real Infinity Gauntlet far too powerful to have. So if you tell everyone you have it, then they stop looking for it. So like if you go around saying,
like the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Like the fake that's hanging in the Louvre, and people stop looking for the one that got
so I'm okay with it.
It's an old
like,
joke.
I understand its purpose. It was a big, fake, gaudy looking Infinity Gauntlet. I'll give you that. It did not, like, they needed to shine
the whole movie looked fake. Way too much green screen usage. There was no physics in this movie. The fights, nothing felt real to me at all. The sets on the trash. What was the name of the planet?
Scar, isn't it?
Yeah, something like
Scar
that.
R. It's SKA apostrophe.
All the
AR.
props to me felt like they were made out of foam, which I'm sure they were.
It had a real 80s feel to it. 80s sci-fi slashed together feel, even with down to the synth pop music that they kept throwing in.
100%. I was actually gonna bring that up, that the middle sequence where they're on Grandmaster's world really reminded me of what we were talking about yesterday with heavy metal and John Carter.
Actually,
kind
kind
of
of
80s sci-fi.
Well, that's not to. It kind of a lot of it kind of reminded me of Ice Pirates. I don't know if you guys remember ever seen that one, but yeah. It was kind of sad. But yeah, they look like a cheap heavy metal knockoff.
Yeah, so I think part of that is because I think they wanted that kind of direction, kind of to nod back to some of the 80s Thor comics.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, all right. Well, we can't let this go on as long as our podcast.
Okay.
So this Sunday, when we do our podcast, we'll let it all stew in our heads for a little bit. So we'll give. This is our initial review. Mine's not going to change. And then we'll talk about it on Sunday more in depth. Give us more time to think. So I'm degrading it back down to a 2.
Okay.
What are you guys saying?
I'm gonna give it a 5.
5?
Out of 10?
Huh? Out of 10? Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. Good job,
I think it's better. I would have given Dark World a 3 or a 4, but it's 5. It's not anywhere near it was not anywhere near as clean or as funny as Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or 2, where it was obviously trying to emulate a little bit there. Hemsworth did a great job as usual. Loki was fine. Other than that, Idris is always wonderful in everything he's in. Idris Elba rocked it, for the small time he was there. A lot of it, they had a lot of problems. There were, like I said, the 70s music, then the 80s music, and then the overly long credit scene, and pretty. They're pretty lame, credit scenes in the middle of the credits. We had two credit teasers, and they were okay.
My thing is that they didn't set up the scene that we've seen from Infinity War.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how they're going to set that up. Which is, if you haven't seen it, it's Guardians of the Galaxy flying through space. Thor's dead in space, and they save him, and he's fine for whatever reason. But that's the scene we've seen from Infinity War, and this movie did not set that scene up.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what we have left, because we just have Black Panther and then Infinity War. That's all we have.
Yes.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Daniel,
I initially said it was probably going to be a 7 or 8. I say I overshot it too.
See, so we all downgraded.
Yeah.
I would say it was probably a 6. If they had hit it one more time with the red pen and been a little bit more conscious of where they wanted their jokes to be, it could have been a 7 or an 8. But I'm going to give it a 6.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see on the podcast.
I do want to bitch about the credits again, though. That there were way too many credits. Do we really need to know? No. And did you read some of them? They got the guy at Kinko's who copied the scripts for everybody is on there. The drivers for all of the major actors. These guys contribute, but it's not. Come on.
I'll say 2 things that kind of caught me off guard. One, was the mentioning the assistants to the big actors.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett and Hopkins shared an assistant, and Huddleston had 2. So I don't know why that is.
He's Loki.
Yeah, but then it's still
at the very
one
end.
One person has to hold the crown.
Yeah. At the very end, when they're like, all of this is fake, there's a scene or the line in there where like the filmmakers acknowledge the people of of Venezuela or whatever, or I think it was New Zealand, and there's like 2 of those lines. Like we are going to acknowledge these people exist. Okay.
I mean. But we don't need the list of everybody that lives in New Zealand,
Right, like it didn't feel like they just went through the New Zealand yellow pages.
All right. So we'll hit it this Sunday. We can no longer claim to be the good-looking men, best-looking men on the podcast since they can now see us.
You can't.
Oh, well, it's true.
It's all CGI.
All right. I will try to get this up before next week's podcast.
Okay.
All right.